All right, team, welcome to this training in which we are going to be talking about the sole proprietorship, okay, or sole prop for short. Now, if you remember from the previous training section, we did say that this is the first legal entity that is needed to be understood in order to actually do business, okay? Now, this is in the category of not being a corporation, okay? So sole proprietorship, sometimes also called sole prop for short. I'll be honest, I almost always call it a sole prop because it is much easier to say. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do, and like we've talked about in the previous training section as well, is that what we are doing here is we're building your understanding layer by layer by layer. Okay, so the very first couple training sections in this training as a whole are going to be a little bit easier to wrap your head around, and then we're going to slowly start ratcheting up the more advanced level as we start to get over here, so that way you can get to the point of becoming an action taker. Okay, so we're layering your understanding of these concepts. Okay, now the other topic I want to go ahead and talk about is right over here when we talk about the non-corporations, right? So the entities, the legal entities that are not corporations that you can do business with. The reason why we are not talking about partnerships here is because of the fact that for most people when they're starting out, they are not starting as a partnership, number one. And then number two is that there are better ways to actually structure a partnership using LLCs and corporations, which we'll talk about in a separate training section. And so that's the reason why for right now, we are going to be focusing on the sole prop, because for, I would say 80% plus, 90% plus of the people who are just getting started in business, that is going to be the legal entity that is going to be most relevant. Okay, so let's go ahead and define terms here. The word sole prop, okay, sole means one, proprietorship literally means owner of a business, right? So literally the word sole prop literally means one man or one woman business, okay? So what most people, and this is very important to understand, what most people don't know is that in order to open or become a sole prop, there is no paperwork needed. There's literally no steps required. In fact, the government makes it very easy to actually be a sole prop. How? By literally making it so that everyone, no matter, I guess if you're over the age of 18, that's really kind of the requirement. Everyone is by default already a sole prop. And so as soon as you generate a single dollar in any way, shape, or form that is outside of your normal 9 to 5 job, right, which is your W-2 tax return. Okay, so again, if you don't need to know that, this is just going to be something that you marinate in. It's going to kind of become second nature to you. It's like, okay, 9 to 5 job, when I work as an employee, that's my W-2. Okay, W-2 is the tax form. Okay, so as soon as you generate a single dollar outside of your 9 to 5 job, congratulations. By default, automatically, you are now a sole prop. There are no fees. There's no startup costs. There's no formal process. You can literally go out and sign up a new customer, a new client, a new student today. You can start making money. You can start actually taking out business deductions. You can start getting business write-offs right this second without even having to register or anything like that. And guess what? This is fully encouraged by the government. This is not something that is like, hey, this is some shady under the cover kind of stuff that we're talking about. This is absolutely encouraged by the government. Think about how cool that is, right? Now, here's our meme cat. Coach, what are you saying? Yes, you heard me. Everyone has made it so complicated, right? Especially when you think about, I got to start a business. I got to, maybe start a corporation. I got to start, how do I do all this stuff, right? They've made it so complicated, and probably because lawyers and accountants actually make money when more people are confused. And in reality, a lot of this stuff is basic foundational understanding, which you're understanding now as you go through these business basics, right? And so everyone thinks that they have to register their business, when in reality, the government makes it very, very, very easy to actually start a business and get started. Literally, it's as simple as you're already in business. Congratulations. Think about how easy that is, right? And now some questions that might come up is like, hey, does that mean that I can go out and open a business bank account as a sole prop also? Guess what? The answer to that is, yep. All you got to do is you just bring over your social security number and you can actually open up a business bank account. And so this is where a lot of people get confused or they don't understand, is that a business is independent of whether it is a corporation or not, right? So the business, you can run a business as a sole prop. You can run a business as a partnership. You can run a business through a corporation like an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp, right? So the business is already established. It's just a matter of you generating the money, right? Now, whether or not you decide to run the business through a corporation, Now, that is a whole separate story that we're going to be walking through and establishing those layers for, right? And so, yes, you can open a business bank account at your local bank, right, as a sole prop using your social security number. And then you can start to keep your business revenue and your expenses separate from your personal, right? So you can literally go today and have a business up and running. Now, should you do that? Is that the best scenario for you? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about in upcoming sections. But this is why I just want to kind of break those beliefs that a lot of people misunderstand about some of the foundational fundamentals when it comes to business, right? Now, here's another one, which is, hey, can I take business deductions? Can I take business write-offs as a sole prop also? And the answer to that, guess what, is yes. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar, a tax write-off is any business expense that is allowed by the IRS for the purposes of lowering your taxable income, okay? So a tax write-off is also known as a business or a tax deduction. So basically anything with an asterisk, I'll explain what that asterisk is in just a second. So basically anything purchased by your business in the course of running your business to try and make a profit, that can actually be deducted from your taxes. How cool is that? Now, this is one of the ways that business owners are actually able to go ahead and do a lot of different write-offs when they are doing things for the purposes of their business. And so this is actually one of the strategies that can be utilized. And so again, like I was explaining, was that your business is independent of whether or not you're doing it through a corporation or not. You as a sole prop, if you wanted to, which again, I'm not saying that's a recommendation. We'll talk about what the recommendation is going to be later on, right? And we're going to go ahead and make general understandings of what we would do. But I'm just making it clear, it's like, yes, even as a sole prop, you can actually go out and get business deductions. Now, anything here refers to anything that is allowed by the IRS, right? So it's not just like willy-nilly, like I'm just going to go buy my groceries as a business deduction or something, right? No, it doesn't work like that. There are rules around this. But if you've ever heard of any business owner who's like, boasting or really proud for like, yeah, you know what? I can buy this. It's a business deduction, right? Pens, pencils, computer that you're going to use for the purposes of business, right? Microphones, softwares, education, all of these things, right? Can be business deductions, right? And so that's what we're talking about, right? From the revenue that you generate as a sole prop, you can deduct things like office supplies, office equipment, education, softwares, any professional services. So let's say, for example, you get legal, accounting, bookkeeping services, advertising costs, home office. So you can actually write off a percentage of your phone bill, your internet, your electricity, even your rent if you are working from home, right? All of this can be a business deduction in order to lower your taxable income. Anything that you can think of that is an expense that you would have as a result of running your business, most probably it is going to be a tax deduction or tax deductible. You just have to make sure through the IRS website, which is very easy to do, it's just a Google search away, and then you can see what qualifies, and you just have to make sure that you save your receipts, so that way you have all of those when you do your tax filings, right? So yes, even with the sole prop, which is literally by default, anybody who generates a single dollar outside of their W-2 9 to 5 is automatically a sole prop, you can have business deductions even without having a corporation. Think about how cool that is, right? You do not need a corporation in order to be able to start taking advantage of tax deductions because you can do it via a sole prop. Now, there are cons to a sole prop. There are more advantages to a corporation that we're going to talk about, but those corporation advantages also come with additional costs. And so you got to weigh the pros and cons, and that's why we're establishing your understanding of this, so that way you are actually educated on what is the right decision that is best for you and your circumstance and your situation. But if anybody tells you that, hey, you got to do all this complicated stuff in order to start business, like they are just getting in their own way, they're tripping over themselves. Literally getting into business is literally as simple as going out and making money. That's it. Okay. Now, a lot of people are like, yo, what's going on here? Like, why is this? This is a trick. Like, why would the IRS or the government allow this all to literally happen without even you having to register? Okay. And the answer to that is because the government wants you to report all of your income. Okay. They don't want people doing money laundering and hiding their income and all that kind of stuff. Right. And so if the government put fees or registrations in place in order for you to be able to go out and make money outside of your W-2, okay, then people would, you know what they would do? They would go out and still make the money on the side. But then when tax time came, they'd be like, oh, dang, you know what? I didn't register. So that way I'm not going to report it, right? Because they weren't registered. And so instead of that happening, the government, they understand this because, hey, if there's one thing the government's good at, the government is good at getting its money, which is its tax money, right? And so the government has created literally the lowest barrier to make money outside of your W-2 day job. So that way you don't have to feel bad about reporting everything that you made. And so what is that lower barrier? What is the lowest barrier that they've established? Nothing. Like there's no barrier for you to actually just go out there and by default, automatically, you are a sole prop. Okay. And so I cannot tell you how much I wish when we were first starting out, a training like this existed that would explain to us very simply all of the things that are fears when we're first starting out in business, right? We're like, how does this work? What is this? All these complications. It's literally this simple. Okay. So when tax time comes, because there is no fee or registration process, you're able to go ahead and report your income from your side business very, very easily. Okay. So when it comes to comparing this to a corporation, this is what it actually looks like so far. This is the table. Okay. And so right now, from what it looks like, the sole prop looks so much better than a corporation because here's the thing. So a sole prop, it's unincorporated. That means that it's free. Okay. Versus a corporation, you have to actually register it. So it's going to actually cost $300 to $800, right? Maybe yearly. But can you open a business bank account with the sole prop? Yes. Can you do that with the corporation? Obviously, yes. Do you get business deductions and write-offs with the sole prop? Yes. And you also get it with the corporation. And so based off of this table alone, based off of these three factors, you're like, yo, wait a second. Sole prop is the way to go. Like, this is amazing. It's free. I get a business bank account and I get business deductions. Like, how much better can I get? Why in the world would anyone ever pay to actually become incorporated? Why would anyone actually pay in order to actually go ahead and become a corporation, right? Like, what's the catch? Should I just go right now, coach, and become a sole prop and that's it? Hold your horses, okay? Because yes, right now, a sole prop based off of where we are in your layer of understanding, right? Because remember, we're layering your learning of this. Right now, it's like, yo, it makes no sense. I'm never going to establish myself as a corporation. But that's exactly why in the next training section, we're now going to go ahead and go to the next layer of your understanding as we get more and more advanced, because this is how true learning happens, for you to understand, hey, what is the actual benefit of a corporation? Why would somebody decide to start off as a corporation? What are some of the advantages of a corporation? Okay, so this specific training section has been about the sole prop. We've talked about exactly how it works, a lot of the miscommunication or misunderstandings or wrong beliefs or limiting beliefs that people have when it comes to starting business. And now we're going to go ahead and work our way into the next training section that's going to walk you through another layer of understanding this entire topic of corporations, which is, hey, what are the benefits of a corporation? So with that being said, we will catch you in the next training section.